Hi, I'm Linda with Stafford Business Consulting, and I get a lot of questions around the agreements that companies sign when they team for either federal government contracting or state and local. So I want to walk through quickly what each of those are and what they mean. So the first one is called an NDA or non-disclosure agreement. In this agreement, this is at the very early stages of two companies coming together and talking about working together. They may not have agreed to anything yet, but maybe they don't want everyone to know that they're chasing a particular opportunity. So maybe before even the first meeting, definitely after the first meeting, before a second meeting, you would have a non-disclosure agreement in place that prohibits either of you from speaking about the things that or sharing the things that you learned about each other in those meetings. The next agreement is called the teaming agreement. This is the agreement where after you've decided, okay, we're going to partner on this opportunity. One of us is going to prime and one of us is going to sub. And we have agreed to move forward on a particular solicitation. So the solicitation or RFP is listed in the agreement, as is the prime contractor's commitment. If you've had a discussion, which hopefully you had, around what the sub is going to do on this work if it's awarded. So a work share, a percentage of the total work, or a percentage of a particular lane of work, we call a swim lane sometimes. Whatever has been agreed upon should be in that teaming agreement. Also, the requirements for the subcontractor to help with the proposal. So if you're expecting the sub to be part of that proposal process, that should also be described in the teaming agreement. So both of these things happen after an RFP, generally after an RFP. It might be before the RFP has come out and you've decided to work together on the bid. Now, once that bid goes in, you submit your proposal, you wait for the government to make a decision, and you're awarded a contract. The next thing that happens is the subcontract is awarded. So this is where the prime contractor, they're the ones that receive the contract from the government. They in turn issue a subcontract to their one or more companies that are going to be subbing to them. Often it's modeled very closely after the contract that they receive from the government, sometimes too much. They may include some requirements that don't really apply to the sub, so you need to read those carefully and make sure that they maybe should have taken some things out that they left in, that kind of a thing. The other question I sometimes get is who initiates these agreements? And almost always the prime contractor should be initiating these agreements. And the other question I get a lot is, should I run all of these agreements by my attorney? And I say this, if we did that in my old company, we would have gone broke pretty quick. So attorneys are very expensive. They do a wonderful job, and I'm very thankful for everything that they do for us, but they are very expensive. So what I do, what I recommend to people is get a basic agreement. Maybe have your attorney create one, maybe get one from a friend. I do give one out in my crash course. I give templates out, but have an agreement that you feel is a fair, balanced agreement, and get comfortable with that. And you can just update it. If you're priming, you can just update it with the information to give to your subs. And then you can also, if you're a sub, compare that to something that a prime gives you, and then kind of look at that language. And if it's pretty basic and pretty simple, you might say, oh, I don't like how you wrote this section. I'm going to recommend a change based on my agreement, and say, hey, I think you should change section 4.3 to say this. And you can kind of go back and forth a little bit by that. You don't need them to look at every single agreement. It's only when there's something that it's really your judgment that you think is going to be beyond your abilities to just, changing address and changing sort of minor terms of the agreement. Now, the other final thing to keep in mind is if you have a teaming agreement that has a specific work share, when the prime is awarded a contract, that teaming agreement is null and void. It gets replaced by, it's superseded by the subcontract. So make absolutely sure that your subcontract has that same term, the same work share in that agreement. And how do I know this? Because we've been burnt. I've been burnt by that in the past. So make sure if you said, hey, I'm going to help you with this proposal, you're going to help you win because you're using my name or you're using my experience or what have you, and you've agreed to 10% of whatever, then make sure when that sub K is issued that your sub K also has the same commitment in it, so that you are the prime is held to hold up their end of the bargain. Everything may seem great during the proposal process, but a year later, people may have changed, companies may have changed, and you want to make sure that you're covered. So I hope that answers some questions, and feel free to add any comments of anything I missed.